Brilliant.
Welcome everybody to the 13th mystery chocolate tasting. I'm very excited. I love how every month all the chocolates are just so different. This is a really, for me, really special because it's flavors that I have never tasted before. So can I see some hands? If you've got your camera off, you could use your use the emoji down the bottom to raise your hand if this is your first time joining us. Oh, quite a few hands. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, well, I will tell you a little bit about what's going to happen. So for those of you, hands up if you've been here more than 4 times before with me. Yay! Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully some of you, this is your first time, you'll be so excited and you'll come back again and again and again. But we are taking a break for the summer. More about that later. So tonight I am delighted to be joined by the wonderful Georgina Hayden and our fabulous chocolatier, Charlotte. Is your last name Flower, Charlotte? That is amazing.
Yes.
I was like, I think that is actually her surname. I should have known that after all of our discussions, but I thought maybe it's a pseudonym to fit the brand. That is just perfect. Charlotte and I first met over 10 years ago, and I was impressed with her chocolates then, and I still am, and I think you all will be tonight. We'll talk a bit more about Charlotte later, but I'm going to introduce you a little bit more to Georgie. So for those of you who don't know Georgie, she is a food stylist, an award-winning food writer, and a recipe developer. So her challenge tonight is to try and guess the ingredients. I think she's got one of the easiest, I'm kidding, you've got one of the easiest runs of any of our guests, because I don't think many people will know these ingredients. So what I'm hoping for all of you is that you will share what you think they taste like, because like many foods, they remind us of other foods. And I'm really excited to see what you think these taste like.
Are they quite obscure?
Pardon?
Are they quite obscure then? Are we going to am I just not going to get it?
I don't know how much you eat from the land.
I mean, I'm excited, but in a way that's kind of makes my life easier, doesn't it? Like, yeah. I'm not going to get tricked out.
Yeah, there's basically no shame in anyone's guesses tonight, because these are not like
a test.
Yeah, it's not like raspberry and passion fruit. These are like,
okay, these are weird. I'm gonna fail. That's okay. I'm fine with that. That's good.
Most of them have descriptions that are similar to other foods that we do know. So it'll be interesting to see if we're picking up on the standard descriptions for them. And some of them are like less weird.
Okay.
So Georgie spent 12 years working for Jamie Oliver. So I have some questions about that I will ask after we do the tasting, and I have some other questions for her. But if you have questions for Georgie, please type them in the chat. You can start with them now and we'll come back to them later, or you can think about them now and after we finish the tasting. Don't want to keep anyone from the tasting for
you probably didn't. Did you allow camera when it started?
Okay.
Whatever, it was a live video. That's what came on.
Okay. Sorry. I have the power to mute you. So for those of you who are here for the first time, apart from the box of chocolates, there are 2 things that might be useful for this evening. One is the tasting sheet, that's the piece of paper. So there's no quiz, but I do recommend you write some of the things that you're tasting. You can also, I'd love you to put them in the chat as well, because it's a lot of fun. But also, if you write some notes, what I really will encourage you to do is to try to not finish the chocolate in the first run through the tasting, and then retaste them, perhaps in a different order, maybe wait a little while. I mean, still eat them tonight by all means, but what I found fascinating when I was tasting the chocolates is how much more flavor I got from the first one that I tried after I tried 3 or 4. And that's always the way with chocolate. Your palate warms up, so it takes a little bit of time to start identifying flavors really well, which is your invitation to eat more chocolate all the time. Eat more chocolate, you'll get better at eating it, it'll be great. But I mean, it'll be trickier if you're sharing with people, but if you are, if you have them just to yourself, then try and save at least half of them. And that's the reason for writing the notes. So when you've tasted them, you can come back and see how it compares to what you've noticed the first time around. And that's why please don't feel just feel really comfortable in putting your thoughts into the chat, because there is no right or wrong. I mean, obviously there's an actual right answer, but how people's taste, what we taste is so different. And sometimes it's influenced by the chocolate. So one of the reasons I love what Charlotte does is that she uses craft bean to bar chocolate. So she uses a variety of makers rather than one standard chocolate for all of the chocolates that she does. Hooray, my baby's asleep. Yes. So do write some notes, but some of those craft chocolates have a lot of flavors on their own. So what you're tasting might actually be coming from the chocolate rather than the ingredient that Charlotte has added to the chocolate, or ingredients. So write some notes there, and it also has a code on it which will give you £5 off if you'd like to come again or buy it for somebody else, or when we start doing in-person tours. The other thing that is hopefully going to be useful is this tasting wheel. It'll be a lot less useful tonight, I'm afraid, because I don't think many of the flavors that Charlotte has foraged for us are on this tasting wheel. However, it'll be useful for finding similar flavors, perhaps. So this is actually designed for plain dark chocolate, of which we're not tasting tonight, but chocolate is basically the most flavor complex food in the world. It has more than 400 different flavors. And the ones around the outside are just some of the ones that you can find in chocolate. Not all of them are good. So that's the challenge with this tasting wheel, is that it doesn't tell you which ones of those are defects and which ones of them are positive. But that's me not being prescriptive. So perhaps you like cardboard in your chocolate. That's not one of the good ones. So yeah, have a look and see if you can think. So when we're using this for tasting, whether it's for a plain chocolate or for a flavored chocolate, it's usually easier to start in the center and see if you can figure out the broad categories that you're tasting and then move further out. And it's just kind of a trigger to help you use your brain to identify what you think you're tasting. So our tasting's really tied in with our memory, and sometimes it can be hard to draw down on what it is that we're experiencing. Yeah, use that if you'd like to, and please use the chat. I'm going to ask you sometimes what you think of things, and so you can use the wave your arms or use the emojis down the bottom. I think you're going to really like these chocolates. I love them. So that's it. Are we ready? Georgie, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? You're on mute. So.
All right. Oh, no, I don't have any. Pete's here. Is he allowed to join us for a bit?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Hi, Pete. Charlotte, do you have anything? Is there anything you think we should know before we start? Oh, you're on mute as well.
Okay. No, just yeah. I think every single one. Oh no, there's only one that has
no clues.
Two flavors, so they're all single flavor.
No clues.
Oh, no clues. Oh, okay. So sorry. They're all really complicated.
They're all really complicated. No clues. So so all of these chocolates were made really, really fresh. So they were made last week and sent out to you. So that just makes chocolate so much better. And these are, yeah. Anyway, we'll start tasting. Okay. So the very first chocolate, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the picture. The first chocolate we're going to taste is the rectangular flat one. Do you like my description? Here we go. This one? Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. So the long, thin bit on the top. So I would say if you haven't been here before, I always suggest to people that they cut them in half. That way you can have a good smell of it before you start tasting. So I didn't mention that smelling is a good thing. It's not something I always remember when I'm eating chocolate, but when you're trying to identify flavor notes, what we think of as our sense of taste is, as I'm sure you know, very connected to our sense of smell. And so we have orthonasal when we smell outside of our head through our nose, and then retronasal, so the passage from the back of your mouth that goes up to your nose. So one of the tricks you can use when you're tasting is if you're struggling to identify a flavor, while that food is in your mouth, you can hold your nose, close your mouth, chew a few times without swallowing, and then let go of your nose and breathe out slowly. And it's basically the equivalent of opening the oven door when you're baking a cake. So not in that it destroys the cake, but if you walk into the kitchen, you can smell the cake, you open the oven door and it's like, it like or roast chicken, whatever it is that you're cooking in the oven, you get a much bigger waft of the smell. And so when you are breathing in, you're obviously like through your nose, you're obviously like filtering and diluting the air that makes it to your head instead of just having the full hit of the flavor that you've got in your mouth. Hopefully that made sense. So you can comment on textures, on taste. So a pine needle on the top. Interesting. I'm not gonna say yes or no to anything just yet. What I would also suggest with this one is try the middle and the top separately. So I tasted the first half of these without knowing what was in them, or what was what. I knew some of the flavors that Charlotte was going to use, but this is the first time I had a box of chocolates where I didn't have the, hadn't tasted them all previously. Oh, and last one with Alistair, I hadn't tried them all either before discussing them with him. So kind of co-creating over the phone. So I tasted this, and I taste them separately. I'll give you the clue. They are not the same thing. So what is inside is different to what's on top. And I got confused eating them together because I could taste the influence of the top one as well. And I didn't know what was coming from what. I just knew that I was getting quite a few flavors. And I mean, this might even be my favorite of the whole 7. Oh yeah, by the way, so I forgot to tell you that you have 7 chocolates this month. Yay, bonus. Just to thank you all for booking in this hot weather, and because the Charlotte's chocolates, I remembered them. If any of you came on the first chocolate tasting we did, we had common hogweed infused ganache with in October it was, which we can talk more about later if you're interested. And Charlotte, I should be stopping the share, so recording's not too dull. So with the common hogweed chocolate, I felt like Charlotte's chocolates were slightly small, so I asked her to make 7 so that you didn't feel like you only had 6 small chocolates, so you got 7, bonus. So interesting, the comment on the top is like dill or fennel. Very good, Joe. I noticed that aniseedy note that you get from fennel when I tasted it, and I wasn't sure where it was coming from because I didn't eat them separately because I thought they were the same thing. So yeah, it's very fennelly. It is not. And the inside is, yes, it's a tart fruit jelly, kind of. It's actually not a fruit, but it does taste very similar to a vegetable that we think is a fruit. There's a clue for you all. Does that help anybody? Yes, rhubarb. It's not rhubarb, but I understand that this particular, am I right, Charlotte? This particular ingredient is cooked in the same way that you would cook rhubarb.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I will, Georgie, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
Hold on, no.
You like it? You like it?
Well, we really like it, and our really intelligent conversation here, I'm not my own pizza, is we were like, oh, it's like a Jaffa cake.
Yeah.
That's as intelligent as our chat is over. You guys are blowing my mind that you're like, oh, it's fennel. I feel like a fraud. I'm like, sure. I just feel like I'm having a really nice Jaffa cake.
That's like when I felt the texture is so Jaffa cakey, like it's, yeah. And the chocolate, I was a big fan of Jaffa cakes. I used to eat my way easily through at least one packet and open halfway through the next. And it's, yeah, it's like quince as well.
Yeah, but when you said it's a vegetable that we cook like a fruit, that we treat like a fruit.
Yes, it's rhubarb.
Oh, it is rhubarb.
Yes.
No, it's not rhubarb.
It's not. No, sorry. It's not rhubarb. The one I was referring to,
yeah.
similar to,
yeah,
is like rhubarb.
Okay.
It's often described as similar to rhubarb, and you cook it in the same way as you would rhubarb. So I'll get Charlotte to tell you more about it in a moment. It is quite like citrusy, and the chocolate in this one is from Duffy, who, if you've been on lots of these tastings with me, Duffy is an award-winning chocolate maker. Apologies. So a chocolate maker is somebody who buys beans and processes it into chocolate bars, and then chocolatiers like Charlotte take those bars and turn them into either more bars or truffles, pralines, caramels. And this is, so Duffy was one of the first chocolate makers in the country. He's based in Lincolnshire, and this is his 72% Venezuelan chocolate. So according to his website, it has notes of almonds, banana, and raspberry jam. So for those of you getting those kind of notes, it might be from the chocolate. So I will share a picture of the inside, because I meant to do that before. So if you're not familiar with me going back and forth between screens, it's so that I can record without recording you, and so I can see everybody while I'm doing that. So this is what the inside looks like. And Charlotte, do you want to tell people, or shall I? I've got it written on the screen, so I could. That's what it looked like inside. If you weren't able to cut it, so it is very much like a quince style jelly. Yes, it's Okumari. Thank you.
Yeah.
And okay, I'll hand over to you to share what it is, Charlotte, and then I'll share the pictures. I've got pictures, so you can imagine.
Okay, all right. Well, really good guesses. For the top, the Fennelly, Billy, and the Angelica, which is they're all in the same family. And this is in fact called Sweet Sicily, and it's a really aniseedy plant. And I love it for that. I love it for lots of reasons, but I love it for its aniseediness. But it's part of this family of plants called the carrots, and they include carrots and parsley and coriander and dill and fennel,
and common hogweed, right?
And common hogweed, and yeah. So there's a huge family, and it also contains some deadly poisonous ones. So you sort of need to know your carrots really. But the Sweet Sicily is just the most beautiful plant, and it's in flower and seeding at the moment with us. All parts of it taste of aniseed. So you see it's really easy to identify, because if you just crush a leaf, it's aniseedy. So that's Sweet Sicily. It's really beautiful.
That's what it looks like. And yeah, so if you've ever heard of hemlock from old kind of books or films, the poison that's the one that's in the same family. But as Charlotte said, if you crush this, it smells of aniseed, and hemlock doesn't. But I'd probably go with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, it's always good. Yeah.
And
so that was a little crystallized bit on the top. And we put that on because I had tried to do crystallized bits of the stuff inside, but they had failed. So we thought they looked a bit plain without something on top. So we put the Sweet Sicily. And because Sweet Sicily is traditionally used to sweeten rhubarb. So there we go. Yes, it was crystallized Sweet Sicily stem. That's exactly what it was. Yep.
And the non-rhubarb rhubarb.
So the non-rhubarb rhubarb is the public enemy #1.
Yes.
Which is Japanese knotweed.
No.
Yes.
Crazy, hey?
Do you know what? I only just learned recently that you can eat that stuff. And I should definitely tell my neighbours 2 doors down because they've got it. And I'm scared.
Oh, well, just cut it and eat it. But you have to be really, really careful that you don't leave any bit of it anywhere. So cook the soft bits like you do with, when asparagus, you sort of find this where you find the tough stuff and discard that. You do that with the Japanese knotweed as well, because it's only the really young shoots. These are in the picture are all quite big. Either just eat the tops or the very young shoots you'll see at the bottom. But you have to, whatever you don't use, be it leaf or stem or root, whatever, you must burn it.
Yeah.
Don't compost it. Don't put it in your compost bin.
Or just give it to someone you really hate.
No, don't even do that. It's it's an offence. It's against the law to spread it. So just be really careful with it. Somebody I know juices it, and he says that just the stuff that the juice, that the juicing machine throws out, has been destroyed, so you can then compost that. But I don't know. I don't have a juicer, so I don't know.
Probably. Oh, I should be.
I might just
Or
say
just-
clear.
Yeah,
Or just cook it and then throw it. But, you know, whatever. But it is amazing stuff. It really is.
I wouldn't rush it. So if any of you have ever bought a house, you will be familiar with the word Japanese knotweed.
Yeah.
Because you can't sell a house that has Japanese knotweed.
No. I've got some here. I'll just show you if I can with my video. Can you see that?
Oh wow, gosh, it looks like rhubarb.
It does. That's little soft bits of it. I'm trying to crystallize it again. But look at the color of it. It's amazing.
Wow.
That's just in syrup.
That's so cool. Yeah, you kind of need to be somewhere where it's growing wild. Yeah, don't. That's definitely a foraging one. Okay, next chocolate. Thank you, Charlotte. That's really cool. So the next chocolate we're going to taste is okay. Now I'm going. I'll just share my screen and then I'll remember. We are going to try the white one next. That will help. There you go. The white one. The white rectangle.
White one.
Oh, hang on. Wait. I'll show you this. So for those of you who are interested, all the emails that have registered for this call, I will send you a list. So the words that are written in the next to the picture will be in your in the email that I'll follow up with. And so just so you know, what am I tasting next? Oh, that one. As there's only one white one. That's not really tricky, is it? And that's what it looks like inside. So. Probably should have kept the screen up, seeing as we're not. I'll share my screen until we start talking. So you can all look at the chocolate instead. See if you can find a clue. I think most, Natasha said chamomile, dandelion, most foraging things are kind of weeds, aren't they, basically? They're the things that no one wants to grow in their garden because they go out of control. Stop sharing. This one I found impossible, basically. And then when I read more about what the ingredient is, I kind of understood, because the flavors that I got from this were ones that I often associate with really good white chocolate. And so I don't know, hands up if you're a white chocolate fan. A few people, not many. It doesn't surprise me in this group. But so I never used to like white chocolate very much. I found it too sweet. Despite what I do, I don't like things that are overly sweet. There's never somebody had sugar in my cereal or in my tea or coffee or anything. And so I thought white chocolate was just sickly. And then when I went to Rococo, when I was researching the chocolate tours, so 16 years ago, they gave me their white chocolate and cardamom, and it blew my mind. It's a 40%, I think it was Valrhona, 40% cocoa content, white chocolate. So you're probably familiar with cocoa content, referring to 70% for a dark chocolate bar. That's how much of the percentage comes from the bean. And so for milk chocolate, for dark chocolate, it needs to be a minimum of 60%, for a milk chocolate, a minimum of 30%, and white chocolate is the same, because the cocoa butter is half of the bean, and white chocolate is made from cocoa butter, sugar, and usually milk powder, and usually vanilla as well. And when you have that much cocoa butter, you tend to have a lot less sugar, and so you just get so much more. And cocoa butter itself has this smell and taste of chocolate unless you deodorize it. So because cocoa butter is 4 times as expensive as the cocoa beans themselves, because of its use in cosmetics, lipstick, sunscreen, all of that, it's sold off usually by the big confectionery companies, who then replace the cocoa butter with cheaper fats, and none of those smell like actual cocoa butter does. So when you have real white chocolate that's made with cocoa butter, this is the kind of taste that you get. So you get fascinating, like floral and vanilla and really like like lots of aromatics that hopefully you were getting from this. Yeah, floral and delicate. Yeah. Georgie, what did you think?
Yeah, someone said chamomile. I recently made a chamomile cake for a job that I was doing. Do you remember that chamomile cake? And I definitely, whilst I'm sure it's not chamomile and it's something much more unusual, I definitely get that. That's all. Yeah, those sort of notes. Yeah.
And okay, shall we reveal?
Go on,
Charlotte.
Okay. Okay, it is excuse me, it's sweet woodruff.
of course it is.
Yeah.
You all knew that, didn't you?
I mean, it was on the tip of my
Yeah.
tongue, Charlotte. It was
Yeah,
either sweet woodruff or
absolutely.
chamomile.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Choice.
they're not related, unfortunately. But this is and in, yeah, it's under a cherry tree where I took this photograph. So the pink petals are this, but this sweet woodruff is has got these amazing whorls of leaves, and these gorgeous little flowers and held in little in little clusters, and it grows under trees. It's a shade plant, and it's related to goosegrass or cleavers. Do you know that thing that always sticks to you?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's a relative. Well, a sister plant. They're very closely
Can you
related.
eat that as well?
Yeah.
I used to chew on that when I was little, I think.
Yeah, it's sort of quite fresh and cucumbery. Quite nice.
My dad used to eat grass all the time, like he'd pluck those like really.
Yeah, those are. I know. I wish I could make those into chocolate. They're delicious, aren't they? But so sweet woodruff is a relative of that, and it doesn't really smell of much. But when you dry it, it develops this amazing vanilla-y tonka beanie taste.
That's why it was impossible to get, because it's basically like the flavors of white chocolate, but just
yeah.
But
That was,
The one
I wasn't sure if I was tasting the chocolate or the whatever it was that you put
Yeah.
inside it. I was like,
So I ground dried sweet woodruff into the white chocolate that I made shell with. That's had actually had sweet woodruff ground into it, which gives it a slightly odd color. And then the ganache was made with cream infused with sweet woodruff. So yes, it was trying to get a complete sweet woodruff thing going. And the chocolate for the ganache was El Rey Ecoa. So I make the white chocolate on the outside with Madagascar cocoa butter, and it's a 40% white chocolate, and the Ecoa I think is about 33, 34.
It's funny because I have some of the chocolate Madagascar 40% in my house, the white chocolate 40% in my house at the moment, and I texted a piece here, and I texted Charlotte, and I was like, is that the chocolate Madagascar 40%? I was very chuffed with myself that I recognized it. But it does have so I have this, and I wanted to taste it next to it, and it does have so much more than just the chocolate Madagascar, which is very just milky, but the floral extra notes, of tonkery style notes. So for tonka, for anyone who doesn't know, is a spice, which is a kind of seed that looks like a dried black large seed, a little bit like nutmeg, but smaller and flatter, and you grate it the way you would nutmeg, and it has flavors of vanilla and cinnamon and kind of almond. It's one of the base flavors of vanilla essence, so it's kind of the poor man's vanilla, but it's getting its own time now, and it's like beautiful fragrance, and people are all about tonka now. But it's partly because the price of vanilla just skyrocketed, and it's a good substitute that sounds very sexy. Okay, the next chocolate that we're going to taste is the one with the silver leaf on the top. I can show you the picture, but it looks very much like the gold leaf. So I'll tell you it's the one with the silver leaf. And I'll bring up the description of the last one. Oh, I was going to show you a grinding machine, just in case anyone was interested. If I haven't seen one before. Picture here. So just in case anyone is interested, so the process of making chocolate from the bean has many steps, but the one which takes cocoa nibs, which you probably had on your porridge or in a fancy restaurant before, is putting them in a grinding machine, which is basically like a mortar and pestle. So it's stone against stone in terms of action. But in this case, the barrel has a base of stone and the wheels are made of stone. And so the friction makes all the particles smaller, but also warms it up so that the cocoa butter, which is solid at room temperature, starts to become a liquid. And so this is where Charlotte put the dried sweet Woodruff into the white chocolate to get it so that this can get anything down to like the same particle level as the chocolate. So you have a completely smooth texture and you wouldn't know that there's any kind of inclusions the way you would if you melted chocolate and added bits to it. And so, yeah, it gives a whole extra dimension to flavoring chocolates that you wouldn't get without this machine. If you were just a standard chocolatier, you wouldn't do it like this. So, full screen. Any thoughts on this one?
I mean, it's
Pretty
delicious.
difficult.
You're going to have to come back, Georgie, when there's a month when we have more normal flavors.
Yeah, I mean, I probably won't, because then I'd look really stupid. At least now I can blame it on the fact that I have no idea about these things that, you know, in a way, this is better for me.
No, I don't agree, because I think when you taste things that you've had before,
yeah,
if you've had them recently enough, you know them, and you can't always remember the name of them, so you might sometimes need prompting, but you do know them. When it's something that's you haven't had before, it really makes your brain go. And
especially at the moment, and it's not even an excuse, my baby brain is next level. It takes me like a day to remember anything. But I love the filling of this one. It's so buttery. It's really good. I really like it. Yeah. I'm stumped. I can't think what is. I just honestly, it's more to me. It's more like textural on my tongue. I can't decipher a flavour.
Yeah, so I wrote my notes. I'll see what everyone else is writing. My notes, I wrote. The only thing I actually wrote was a slightly licoricey.
Interesting. See, I really like licorice to eat. Like, give me a bag of Panda, it'll be gone in 2 seconds. But if there's licorice and things like pucker teas, I can't stand it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
very sweet when you get them in the teas. It's like it just comes across as this like
it's like
so the way it feels in your mouth.
If it's licorice, then you'll have floored me, because up until now I think I don't like it as a flavour profile and stuff. So hit me, go on, Charlotte. Tell me it's licorice.
Well, it is Sweet Sicily again.
Oh, okay. Fine.
And it's really interesting because I've just eaten that as everybody else has, and I know what's in it, and I know I flavoured it with Sweet Sicily, and it's there as a little whisper, and it's eluded me, this plant. It is just extraordinary. I have tried to capture this licorice flavour using Sweet Sicily since I started making chocolates, because I just love licoricey chocolates. This is a Madagascar chocolate, 70% shell and 64% in the ganache. And I think this is a really good example of where Sweet Sicily has just been a real alchemist. And what it's done is it's totally heightened the flavour of the chocolate. So, and I think it's something called anaphone, which is the ingredient in Sweet Sicily, and I think it must be part of this aniseedy thing, because it's used as a sweetener, but it's not a sweetener like a sugar. It's a flavour enhancer, so you don't need so much sugar. And I think that's what happens with this. So when I stopped looking for licorice, I realised that what I was getting was just sort of the chocolate on steroids. It was just like, whoa, all that flavour of the chocolate was just, the way ganache will bring the flavour of the chocolate up. it makes it more accessible to your tongue. I think Sweet Sicily sort of does that as well. And the only way I've really found to capture its flavour is by crystallizing it. So I've ground crystallized Sweet Sicily into chocolate, like I did with the Sweet Woodruff, and that works much better in terms of capturing the flavour. But for a ganache, it doesn't really work. So
in conclusion, it's a delicious chocolate.
So that was so it's it's a really difficult one, and sometimes it's stronger than others. But like with when you're using fresh ingredients, they are quite elusive as well. So it might taste great when I make it, but a week later.
And so for those of you who wrote, some of the notes we had: rich red fruit wine, tannins, almond, cherry, nettles, orange peel. Those are the flavour notes that are exactly used to describe, not the nettles, but I'm not sure what nettles taste like. I can't remember. I've had them before, but the other ones are exactly the ones that show up for this Madagascar chocolate. So what your flavour notes you're getting are exactly like I mentioned around this tasting wheel. It's all the additional flavours that you find in chocolate, and those like the fruity wine, almond, cherry, and orange are like the top flavour notes, and raspberry are the ones that people find from this. But this didn't taste like raspberry. It didn't have that sharp, I don't think, but the cherry and the other flavours. Excellent work. It was hard. So for those of you who contribute your flavour notes, very, very accurate. The next chocolate that we're going to taste is the gold leaf. If you do have some hot water, I recommend having a little bit, just kind of cleanse your palate a tiny bit. So this gold leaf one, I will find the picture of the cup fruit as well. What's that one? Has the rain started where you all are? Just coming down.
Oh yeah, Pete's just
Up
bringing up
here,
the sheets.
Oh, you got sheets on the line. Oh no. Oh.
Well done.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So just to recap, that was a 70% out to shell with 64% inside. There's another picture of the Sweet Sicily. And this is the one we're tasting now. Oh, that's a terrible photo. I thought I edited it better than that. And it might even be the wrong one. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, it's almost a texture like a mousse. Yes, that's treacle notes, mushroomy, and maybe nettle this time. This is another really tricky one. What did I write for this one when I tasted it? I just said delicate and beautiful. I got nothing else. And then I found out what it was. But Charlotte did warn me this one is a really, like, she struggled to get the flavour from this one as well. I want to taste it again. I can't. Not until tomorrow. Any other flavours? Okay, do we like it though? Hands up, we like it? Yes.
Good.
I promise in future months they will be easier to guess. But Charlotte, do you want to tell people what it is?
Okay.
Wait, sorry, Georgie, do you have any thoughts?
No, but someone's just said which chocolate we're tasting. It's the gold leaf one.
Oh, thanks. Yes, gold leaf.
Pete says he understands the mushroom thing. I'm not sure I get that so much. I think I'm distracted by the texture. It's really unusual. It's definitely like almost moussey.
I'm gonna just
No, you go for it, Charlotte. I mean, maybe.
Okay. Well, okay. This is Ghouls Flower.
That's really like a common. Even I know what that is, and I'm a city girl.
Yeah, I know. And it's characterized by its coconut smell. But I just cannot get. I think the gorse around us just doesn't smell of coconut. I mean, it does when you're next to it, but I have spent years trying to capture. If I'm not trying to capture Sweet Sicily, I'm trying to capture Ghouls. And I've been driven bananas by it. I've gone out at, you know, different times of the day, when it's had sun on it for 3 hours, sun on it for 4 hours, sun on it for 5 hours, from the south side of the plant, from the west side of the plant. I have tried every possible which way to get the coconut flavor, and it's completely eluded me.
I think you haven't done the right moon, Pat.
Sorry?
Yeah, right phase of the moon.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I should try everything, really. I've tried it in cocoa butter, I've tried it in cream, I've tried it in alcohol, I've tried it in sugar, I've tried it in absolutely everything. I've asked every forager I know, and they all go, it's really elusive.
Yeah.
But when I stopped looking for coconut, what I find in it, and I slightly get the mushroomy, I sort of know what you mean, but it's not what I get. Honey. I just get, if I shut my eyes as I'm eating that, I could be in a field of clover. And but there's this little vegetable-y, because the gorse is a member of the pea family, and there's a little sort of, there's a little, I don't know how to say a pea edge to it, because that doesn't sound very sensible. But I can, there's a leguminous bit to it. I don't know what it is. But for me, it's this amazing honey. And I don't know where that comes from, because when you smell a gorse flower, which you do carefully because they're prickly, I don't get honey, I get coconut. But when I infuse it in cream, I get what I think is delicious honey, like clovery honey, you know. But that's what I get. We all taste differently.
I do get that. I know what you mean, because like the just the texture alone, like when I've used honey and chocolate, like I get that more than the mushroom. Yeah.
Now I look really ethereal.
You do. You look magical. You look like a little elf, like an elfin fairy.
Oh dear. I love my blue walls, but they're really not good for this Zoom lighting. And then these lights are really orange. Anyway, we'll go with this. So you just reminded me of the old stories where someone like would fall into a gorse bush and like get trapped in all the prickles. Dom's right, we have had gorse 3 times now. So if you've been here from the very beginning, the very one that the bar we had from it wasn't first, second, I think, when we were just tasting bars from Nearinogs in Ireland. They foraged for the gorse near them, and they had sprinkled it on top, but we also couldn't taste it. It was a tiny bit coconutty, but it was very difficult to taste there as well. It was alongside seaweed though, the dulse alongside seaweed, and then we had chocoladas a couple of tastings later, and that was very coconutty. But Becca from Chocolata said that the 2 harvests, the spring harvest and the autumn harvest, have different flavor notes. So it's very coconutty in the spring and more kind of woody in the autumn harvest. So, but maybe it's just different, maybe because Scotland's not as warm as
well, I think there's also, and I think maybe because I'm not by the sea, and I wonder whether there's just more, I don't know, ozone, ultraviolet, sunshine, what it is. It's driven me bananas, actually, and I've just about given up. But I love this honey flavor. But I have little jars of I've even tried, what I'm trying at the moment is gorse flower in cocoa butter in a sous vide that I make cocoa butter seed in. And I'm just, because one of the problems of infusing in cocoa butter is if you get it too hot, the flowers just rot, and then all you can taste is rotten flour. So I thought, well, if I hold it at this perfect temperature, and it's warm enough to get the aromatics going, and it's warming the cocoa butter enough to accept aromatics, maybe I'll get a sweet spot and it'll work. But no, it's not.
So if you're not aware, seeding refers to process of tempering. So in order to get chocolate to be nice and crisp and shiny, you have to heat, cool, heat it again. And the kind of cheats method is to use chocolate that has already tempered, and you just add it to your melted chocolate, and it's like a magnet, and it turns it all into perfectly tempered chocolate. I'm simplifying it, but yeah, then you can pour it out and it will set nicely. Okay, next chocolate is
which one are you going for next?
With the little bits on the top. I'll share with you so you can see the photo. Clicking's a bit slow. I'll get there. So that was that one. Oh, it was using that one was a milk chocolate ganache from the Esmeraldas with the original beans. So if you don't know original beans, another amazing craft chocolate company. They outsource the making, but they're really involved in the farming, in supporting the farmers, I should say. It's an incredibly ethical company. They do a lot to reforest and to support women as well. It's really highly recommend the chocolate. Also really delicious. So that is what Ghouls Flower. I got the right photo, right, Charlotte?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what Ghouls Flower looks like. And then this is the chocolate we're tasting now, which is the 5th chocolate. Oh, 3 more to go. Sorry, we're doing a little bit more talking than we normally would between chocolate because there's so much to learn about these. So I hope it's not too cruel waiting too long between the chocolates. So I'll show you what this looks like inside as well. So this one has 2 layers. I love a 2-layered chocolate. Yeah, last month's set had quite a lot of layers in most of them. Pollen. Is that the appearance or the taste? I'm going to stop sharing screen so we can see reactions. Georgie, any thoughts?
So I'm not overly keen on this, and that's like, and I think I mean I'm probably way off. I'm probably judging it by what I think it is, and it's a flower that I also equally think lots of people like the smell of, and I don't. But my initial thing was mimosa. Or like, but I don't know why. Maybe because of the little yellow balls, I was like, oh, it's, you know, and because I actually don't like the smell of mimosa. I think it smells like cat's wee. I'm not saying it tastes like cat's wee, but you know, that's just like, I was like, oh, I'm not a fan of the flower smell. But it's unusual. I mean, I like that the chocolate is divine. It's absolutely gorgeous. The texture is sort of confusing me a bit. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so they've gone like they're not as crispy as you might expect from like that kind of appearance.
Yeah.
Like see about sort of got, and I'll read out some of these for anyone who's watching on catch up. I want to come back to Matt's question later, but pollen, pink peppercorn, best one so far, smells quite woody, sea buckthorn, which is quite sharp, if anyone's not familiar with sea buckthorn. It's a fruit. Notes of white pepper. Oh no, it didn't like the heat. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's got some butter in it, this one. Dried flowers and dried fruit. So my notes were slightly tree resin and almost tobacco-y. Don't know if anyone else picked up on that.
Yeah. But is that, I don't know if that was the chocolate though, or because the chocolate's lovely.
Oh, large.
Chocolate is lovely.
Yeah, the chocolate is beautiful. I'm a big fan of this chocolate. There is tobacco, hemp. Yes, hemp. It's a bit like that, isn't it? It's that kind of like resiny kind of wholesomeness. So it is a really special chocolate as well. But I'll let Charlotte.
Well, this one is the national tree of Scotland. So it is woody. It's not larch. It's Scots pine. And we have used, it's really interesting. I don't normally make chocolates of this style. I don't make a layered chocolate, and so this has been a real challenge. I just do molded chocolate. That's what I do. And so it was quite fun making a layered one. And there were 2 parts of the Scots pine in this. So the little beady things on the top and in the base are the male catkins of the pine. And I think, Jen, you've got a picture of the male catkins?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. Yep. which so the pollen is definitely there. We were going to sprinkle pollen on top, but it just sort of disappeared into chocolate. But they are, if you see the picture of the male catkin. Oh no, that's not the pine catkins. That's something else. Sorry.
I'll find it and I'll remove the thing. Okay, we'll come back to it.
But they look like little tiny sort of yellow cones, and when they're very young, the little nuggets on them are really crisp and really tasty. And then as they mature and release the pollen, it dries out and it's just not very nice at all. But so I've picked the little young ones and crystallized them, and that's what's in the little bead things. And then the ganache is made with the young pine shoots. Nope, that's not it either.
Oh my gosh.
No,
I don't have anything.
Did I send you it? Maybe I didn't send it to you.
I don't have anything else that could be, unless it's the ones coming out of the ground. But I thought they were the shoots.
No, I thought I'd sent it to you. I'm really sorry. But they're all over with us now. So about a month ago, all the pine trees here had these lovely catkins on them. And then the ganache, I used the young shoots to infuse the ganache. So it's two parts of the plant really. It's a double Scots pine, and it's chocolate tree Peru chili leek. 70% is the chocolate.
Which is a really special
chocolate. So you can see the thing on the left there is the.
Which one? This one?
The one next to it, to the right of it. Yeah, that's the catkin. And that's it, completely opened out. So I wouldn't pick it at that stage because it's gone all soft and unpleasant. And if you can imagine each of those little spurs, each of those little almost look like florets, don't they? Before they open, they are completely closed and quite crisp, like a little corn cob.
Oh wow!
And that's what we use. And they I've pickled them and made syrup with them and crystallized them. They're really tasty. Yes, you can see some of those pictures. They look quite so.
They're all a bit open, aren't they?
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's a bit over as well.
That's interesting. Is it possible that then they would have kept kind of carrying on after picking, so they like getting soft?
Yeah, if I leave them, they do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so
and they release the pollen. So I've collected the pollen. I'm not quite sure what to do with the pollen, and I know it's a very chefy thing to do to put pollen on stuff.
Oh, so I did some research, and pollen, plant pollen, pine pollen, has 18 amino acids, numerous vitamins, including A, B1, B2, B6, B3, B9, vitamin C, D, which is very rare for plants, but because it gets so much sunshine, E, and carotene. So it's basically like a major superfood. It's full of minerals. It contains powerful antioxidants and beneficial enzymes, and you can use it as flour, but so you can replace.
Yeah,
you can.
Can you see it?
Wheat flour.
I can't.
Oh wow! Yeah, you can replace it.
It's actually really amazing yellow color. It's really hard to
water in a recipe. So maybe send some to Georgina.
Yeah,
make a cake with it.
That's really cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, so only a quarter of your wheat flour you can replace with the pine flour, and it's lower in calories. But
really
amazing.
You have to be really careful though, because it's full of testosterone. So.
It did actually say that it's really good for men and women in balancing their hormones, but you probably want to speak to somebody who knows something about that rather than.
I think you just eat lots.
So the chocolate that you that was used for that, the chocolate tree Peruvian Chilique, was it won a gold at the International Chocolate Awards in 2017. So I don't know if it's been significant, but it's a lovely chocolate.
It's lovely chocolate.
Yeah, very special. Many reasons. The man who sourced it sadly died this year. Not the people who made the chocolate, but sourced the cocoa. Anyway, next chocolate. Is the second last one that we're going to try is, where's my notes gone? Ah, here. The one with the green pattern. I'll get it up on the screen as well so nobody misses out. They didn't hear me. The green pattern. The green pattern.
Ooh.
Keeping it until I get the picture up on the screen.
I feel like I'm just failing at this.
Okay.
I think I might just give up. Just eat the chocolate.
That's fine too. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
know what I'm doing with these pictures, but I'm going to remove the title just in
Oh
case.
my God.
Okay.
Like I know what that is.
Thanks, Ed. Picture now. Sorry, that took a while because I was I've been opening so many screens. I think
That's really obvious.
it's caught in the rain. Okay. And the inside. Click, click, click. I got that one.
It's obviously like really caramelly, but it's there's something in it, and it's like, you know, when you know what it is. This one I feel like I know what it is, but my brain isn't working. But it's obviously not just caramel. There's another flavour in it, isn't there? Oh, that's gonna do my head in.
I don't know which picture to use now, Charlotte.
Oh, the one you were using instead of the previous one.
The first one or the second one, though?
Both of them. They're the
Oh,
same.
they're both the same. Oh, okay, cool. I thought they looked quite similar, but okay, cool. So yeah, there's your clue, everybody. That's like
good one.
What's the clue?
It was the picture that you saw that was not the catkins.
Ah. Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah. So not the catkins. It was the spruce.
Sitka spruce.
I'll show you the picture.
Really lovely. Really, really nice.
And all the conifers have really distinctly different flavors. I mean, it's amazing. And I find the spruce has got these fantastic citrus flavors, which I really like. And it works in a ganache. And so in this one, I've infused it into the cream. And I've been drying these are the young buds, which we use. So they're very soft and very tender and have, you know, they don't have a resiny taste. They just have a fantastic, fresh, I suppose it's like sap really rather than resin. But they all, so this is spruce, which is really citrusy. I'm told Douglas fir is very grapefruity. But all the Douglas firs around here are about 100 feet tall, so I haven't been able to shinny up them to get some nice young buds. So
yeah, it's a long way. And I've been seeing the notes from people, so slightly menthol. I got that as well. That's the resin.
Yeah, that's the larch. Yeah, I mean the spruce.
And then the honey. I think it's interesting because quite often, like, honey tastes like the things that we forage. Like,
yeah. There's no honey in it, but it is a sort of classic, you know, cream butter, caramelized sugar.
But
I think
there's
a sort of
honey.
That,
well,
you know, there's
so
a play against the chocolate as well, isn't there? So with a nice dark chocolate, I think the caramel and the dark chocolate shell sort of take you somewhere in a nice way.
Natasha, you said the pine honey. Natasha's one of my tour guides, and on the main tour we used to visit Carpo, who do the Greek company who do the nuts and the seeds and the chocolate, and they have an amazing, like, just phenomenal pine honey. They have a thyme honey as well, but which is also amazing.
Yes, I mean, I think pine honey maybe pine needles
Yeah.
soaked in sugar in a syrup.
Oh, my dreams are shattered. There you go.
I think so, because pine pine is wind pollinated, and so they don't need to bother with insects.
Interesting. But then, yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to research that later.
Yeah, but I often hear people say, "Oh, pine honey or larch honey or whatever," and I think what they mean is it's been soaked. The needles have been soaked in syrup, and it's delicious. It's lovely,
Yeah.
and it's well worth doing. To make a syrup out of spruce or larch or pine, that really, honestly, are delicious. They're great in cocktails. They're fantastic on ice cream. They're great in baking, and they're really simple to do. And often they get called honey, but they're not. Yeah.
So the last chocolate, we normally finish these, all of the tasting the chocolates by about 1:45. So thanks everybody for being so patient. This is a very quite nerdy.
Oh, yeah, you'll know this one.
I'm enjoying learning this stuff, but for those of you who just came for the chocolate, I apologize and hope this is not too geeky for you all. We'll go back to the simple stuff for our next tasting. Well, there'll be some interesting things.
This one, you won't get wrong on this one.
So this is the final chocolate, which if you arrived late, from the description perspective, it is the rectangle with the milk chocolate stripes, the paler stripes. I will share my screen. Oh, where'd it go? This one. Oh, I don't have a picture of this one cut through. Don't know what happened to that. Guesses: marjoram, oregano, thyme, mint, herb central, minty, lavender, very heavy mint, pine mint, aniseed. Love this one. Thyme, lavender, basil.
Much more familiar, isn't it?
It's initially I was like, oh, mint, but I feel like there is definitely a mixture of herbs, like not just straight mint. I definitely get the sort of the basil vibes as well. But
yeah, I felt like it wasn't just like mint, but you get like the pineapple mints and the other mints, and I don't know them all well enough to know what this one was. But
I made mint ice cream recently, but like fresh mint ice cream, and it's a completely different flavor profile to making mint choc chip, which is my favorite, but like trashy mint flavoring versus using fresh mint. It's totally different, isn't it? It's not the same.
On the ice cream tour, we used to visit Jalupo until they got so popular that we weren't allowed to go anymore. And they
rude.
I know, after like 10 years, actually longer, gosh, like 12 years. Anyway, they're fantastic and I still love them. And I always make people try the fresh mint stracciatellas, so with the tiny little chocolate flakes through it, because it blows people's mind tasting that fresh mint ice cream versus peppermint.
It's definitely different.
But I do like peppermint, trashy peppermint as well.
I feel like you've ended on my favourite one. Like, I'm a big fan of chocolate herb. It was like we had it at our wedding, didn't we? It was good. That's amazing.
I felt like we had to end
about it. What's different about it? Go on, Charlotte, tell us.
It's a wild mint. That's it.
Oh, okay, fine.
It's just a water mint.
Yeah,
I have two types of mint that grow wild here, and there's one which is called round leaf mint, which is much more spearminty.
Yeah.
And this one is more Moroccan minty, which I really like. And it's in a Menacau. Is that how to say it? Menacau.
Yeah, Menacau.
Madagascar 44% milk chocolate with the ganache.
But, if anyone's brand new to chocolate, a ganache is typically a mixture of chocolate, cream, and usually a little bit of butter as well. Not always, but longer shelf life, almost always. And has that like lovely silky texture which you can use to put on a cake or make into truffles. But you can make ganaches with liquids other than cream, water, wine, or any alcohol, fruit purees, juices, all sorts. coconut cream. So yeah, that is the
last one.
last one.
Aww.
Can I hear your favourites, everybody? Yeah, I'll give you a minute to say them. We know your favourite, Georgie. Was that your favourite too, Pete?
No, I like
Oh, which one do you like?
3 or 4.
3 or 4?
I can't remember which one was which though.
And it's hard with 7 to keep track of them.
No.
All of them.
Oh, the 3 and 4 were both lovely. They were nice texture, didn't they?
Yeah, they had the beautiful texture. I know. I struggled to keep track of them all.
My notes are pretty crap. So
the spruce
they
caramel.
were all delicious, Charlotte. They were lovely.
I love that
Thank you.
everybody had a different flavour. I just want to remind you of what I said. If you do have some left, to try them again, because now that you know what they are, and also just the fact that your palate. So when we were first setting up the International Chocolate Awards, we did practice tastings and found that when we went back to one particular chocolate after every 5 chocolates, you got so much more out of it after you tasted 5. After you tasted 15, it could have been any bog standard supermarket chocolate. So it goes on a bell curve where you get better at tasting and then you become really terrible again. So taste them again.
You have a terrible job, don't you, Jen?
Yeah. Awful. Hate the people. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions about the chocolates, or for Georgie or for Charlotte? Oh, well, Georgie, I know we said 9, so I don't know if you need to go to the babies. So have you got a few more minutes?
I've got a few more minutes. They're fine. They're not screaming. It's all good.
Yay! Cool. I am curious because I just think the Jamie Oliver, like, the whole thing is a phenomenon, and you got to work beside him for like 12 years or near enough. Yeah. And I would love to know like any particular like memorable times from working there.
Oh God, there was a lot, and he's the nicest bloke in the world, which I'm sure when people ask me that, they always want a bit of gossip, but I've literally not got a bad word to say about the man. I think he's amazing. Memorable moments.
I'd heard that already. I wasn't looking for gossip, just some...
Oh no
story.
No, I know. There was loads, and actually I was really lucky because I worked there in my 20s, and mostly in my 20s and almost in my 30s as well. But it was like at a time in my life when I was really young, free and single, and I could just travel loads. And because we were basically like his right hand people, we, like, he was like, do you want to come and live in America for a bit? So I was able to go and live in America for a bit, and wow. Which was really fun. That was amazing, like just living in LA and cruising around in this massive car and stuff. That was really cool. And just all the traveling was probably my highlight. And we just did some really wild stuff, like speedboating around like the Swedish archipelago, and it sounds very glamorous, but there was also like a lot of 2 a.m. finishes and 4 a.m. starts, and he works really, really hard. So it was quite brutal, and the hours are quite crazy, but it was just kind of mad. It was amazing. Like, Pete would fly out to New York for the weekend just to come and see us and shoot. And I think LA, because it's funny, like I've never had a real desire to live anywhere else, and LA is the sort of place that doesn't appeal to me, but I really enjoyed working out there. That was good fun. We were doing like this show about the obesity crisis over there, and like we were shooting a lot in schools, and we were hanging out in Compton. I had no idea, and I was like just at this school, and Pete, we had that app on our phones where you could stalk each other, and Pete was like, "You're in Compton, babes." I was like, "Oh, that's why there's like a security guard to walk me from my car just down the street. There's guns everywhere." No idea, but it was like, it was really fun, and we got to do some really varied stuff. But I think Sweden was probably my favorite place we went.
Wow. And
he just and like just really, and also normal things, like every year with the Christmas show, or deep frying whole turkeys in in the freezing cold whilst Gennaro's dressed up as a chicken or something. Like it was all the mundane stuff as well. That was really lovely. And they're just a really nice bunch of people. So I only left because I wanted to, have a family. I wanted to be around more with my girls and do my own stuff as well. But just the nicest people, really lovely.
Yeah, he certainly seems like one of those people who's the same on camera as off.
Yeah.
You can't have that longevity these days without that. I might ask another question, and I think some people had some questions for Charlotte as well, but in case anyone needs to leave now, I want to say thank you very much for coming, and it was so lovely to have you. I hope you're like now have a new interest in foraging, perhaps. I certainly want to do that in the summer. I did have a tasting booked with Felicity Cloak in July, and this one has been very stressful getting the chocolates to you, so I am going to pause. That's my plan anyway, to pause until September. So I have put all the dates for September, October, November up to January. Without the special guests, I'll find them, it'll be fine. But I do have the chocolatiers lined up for them all, and they're very exciting. And yeah, so I hope you'll join us for those. Don't forget to use your discount code. And I'm going to do a few things during the summer. So perhaps just some chats with chocolatiers and chocolate makers. And there's a small chance I might do another tasting, because there's an opportunity potentially to have a European chocolatiers chocolates. So they'll be like super special. That was always my plan. And there's a chance they might be able to get here at the end of July. So if you're not on my newsletter list, then sign up at the bottom of the website, and then you won't miss out, because it's going to be amazing. If it's not in the summer, I'll make sure it happens at some point in the next year, because the chocolates are phenomenal. That's just a tease, sorry. But yes, questions. Do you have a favorite memory to do with chocolate, Georgie?
Loads, because I'm a complete chocoholic, but probably the fact that Pete and I have been together for 12 years, and when we first started living, I think it was about halfway into our relationship, like it was about 6 years into our relationship. Pete had no idea that I am when I say chocoholic, I've got problems, and he had no idea, because I used to hide the fact that I was addicted to chocolate in the baking cupboard. We've always had a baking cupboard, obviously, and because I used to keep my chocolate stash in there, I got away with it for bloody ages. And then it's
not like a drawer full of toffee crisps or
because it was always the baking stash. He honestly, it was like we were married. The Valrhona buttons or the all that stuff. Like literally, he was like, we were married, and he was like, you've actually got a problem, haven't you? But yeah, so that was quite good. I managed to keep that quiet for a while.
That's probably why we get along so well. It's funny, when I asked Georgina for a recipe for to send to you, which if anyone would like the physical copy, I can post it to you, but the PDF is great. And she said, I don't actually have many chocolate recipes because I prefer to eat it. And so I love that you had this baking cupboard for chocolate, and then no chocolate cakes ever came out to baking.
I'm not a big chocolate ice cream is probably like my least favorite ice cream. Like, I'm not a fan, chocolate cakes, same, but just give me chocolate straight up.
Chocolate ice cream is so often just bad. It doesn't represent chocolate at all. It's
not into
imitation. Like red velvet cake is like, so that's.
I don't think of it as chocolate. No.
Yeah, no, I agree. So anyone, I don't know if I've been missing questions. Oh, baby to sleep. Yeah, I've been there on Zooms before in the dark, just listening in. Hopefully they go to sleep soon. There was a question for Charlotte about whether or not the terroir makes a difference to, so like we're talking about with gorse, whether the soil makes a difference to some of these wild, like Japanese knotweed. Would it taste different planted in Scotland versus London?
That's a good question. I think it does. It clearly does for gorse. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And of course, some plants don't grow in some parts of the country. So I can't, for example, don't get very much in the way of Alexander's here, which is a really popular plant. But we get a lot of sweet cicely, and other people in England don't get sweet cicely. So, plants and wild plants will only grow where they're able to grow. So, and where conditions are good for them. So there is, in a sense, that's partly terroir, but where you do get the same plants, I imagine they do taste differently. And you know, there are this, you know, there's a south facing. So when I'm collecting flowers for like elderflower or whatever, I do find, you know, obviously plants that are facing the sun will have more aroma than plants that aren't facing the sun. So so I'm, you know, it's actually, it's not just terroir, it's orientation as well. So
Sunlight.
yeah, sunlight.
It's like it would to fruit, because like
Yeah.
the cocoa fruit tastes different depending on how much sun it gets, like strawberries do. And so yeah, that makes sense with foraging.
Yeah.
I have one more question for Georgie, if she doesn't mind.
That's fine.
This is a bit gossipy.
Go on.
Any disasters at work? Like, so I imagine with like food styling and preparing food for big events and stuff, like,
Oh God.
when was your heart in your throat?
So every year there used to be, I don't know if this still goes on, the Good Food Show at the Birmingham NEC, and for a long time it was like the big food event of the year. I think there's, you know, there's loads now, there's Taste and all that lot, but you know, going back, it was the big thing. And so for a long time, Jamie used to open the Good Food Show, and it would start on a Friday and it would go on to the Sunday, and it was like all the big names, you know, and the fact that Jamie opened it was a big deal. And I had just been promoted to sort of one of the main food stylists. Up until then, I'd always been an assistant. And you go up on the Thursday night, you do all your prep. And then on Friday at like 11 o'clock, Jamie opens. He has security, never normally has security guards. It's a big deal. There's like 400 women throwing their knickers on stage situation. And so I go up on the Thursday, and basically there's like one main kitchen and there's like a few food stylists, and they cover all the chefs, but Jamie's the only one who brings his own team. So we rock up, like, you know, and I get everything ready. It's my first big gig. I want to impress my boss back in London, and I get everything laid out and trayed out on the Thursday night. Come in 6 a.m. on the Friday. I've got like a few hours till Jamie's there, and because it's the build, there's still all the electricians and the builders around. Anyway, overnight they turned all the walk-in fridges into freezers. So it was like literally 6 or 7 a.m. on the Friday morning, and I, excuse my French, but I was shitting myself. I was like, I literally got no ingredients. Everything's frozen. So, and you know, there wasn't, you're in the middle of nowhere in the NEC. You're not just like, there's not a shop down the road you can pop to, and you just don't have time because he's going to be there in a minute. So I just remember running around with my assistant, just beg, stealing and borrowing everything and anything I could from all the suppliers that were exhibiting there, and we managed to get it together. That was part of the especially with Jamie, because he was always changing his mind of stuff at the last minute as well. Part of it is being a food stylist, but part of it is just being unflappable. I think that was one of the best lessons I ever learned there, was when you're in the middle of doing something in the middle of nowhere and he's like, babe, have you got XYZ? And you don't have it. And you just say, yes, I do. And then you somehow miraculously, even if it means driving 5 hours, you get it. So yeah, that was a pretty heart in my mouth. I was like, you're kidding me. But it was fine. It's always fine.
Yeah, I know there's always a way, isn't there? That's like,
yeah.
That's a bit that universities don't always teach you, but the most important life skill, figuring out a solution.
Exactly. Just, you know, fake it until you make it.
That is brilliant. I didn't say, I'm sorry, I should have said at the beginning that, like, I said that Georgina was a food writer, but I didn't mention, I think I said it in the emails, but I didn't mention that she has 2 books already, which are both beautiful. And her recipes are just phenomenal. So if you don't have her books, go and get them. And another one's coming out next year.
Yeah, next year.
Vegetarian, mostly vegan, is that right?
It's all vegan, yeah. I'm not vegan, but it's to do with Orthodox fasting. So it's all to do with vegan food in the sort of Mediterranean, Middle East. It's really interesting.
I'm very excited for that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really lovely having you. I would love to have you come back in the future, Georgie.
I would like to just come and taste next time, and then I can hear everyone else's thoughts.
Okay, we can do that too.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's this is the second time Georgie's stepped in to help me with something. So Ed was the very first guest on this, and now a year later, Georgie and Ed and Georgie both kindly cooked brunch for charity events that I organised.
Yeah.
They were so much fun.
That was wicked. We did.
Yeah, we're not doing that again. That was hard work.
It was great.
Lots of fun though. But I have more events and things planned. So yeah, get on my newsletter, mailing list. So thank you again, everybody. I hope you all get some better sleep tonight. Hopefully it's going to cool down. Still feels really muggy. But it was so lovely to see you all, and I will see you in September, if not before. Thank you so much, Charlotte. They were delicious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go and buy. Charlotte's always doing interesting flavoured chocolate, so go and buy some from her as well.
Thank you.
Buy more. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.